Before I go on, I'm sure that I'm echoing everyone's thoughts tonight when saying what an amazing job my grandparents have done organising this event. And that we're all sending our love to our Grandpa Jeffrey and wishing him a speedy recovery. I know we're all really looking forward to seeing him in person at the next Family Simcha.
It's your son.
When? Because I can wear my dinner suit again.
Get it clean.
He said to me that the food he's been getting hasn't been great recently, which I was very concerned to hear. And I was worried that he was a bit confused. So I said to him, Grandpa, you've been married to Grandma for a very long time. Daniel, my only piece of advice to you tonight, the experiments with concepts like moist in your cooking have to end. In our family, there's no difference between cleaning the kitchen counters and preparing food. The only aim of both tasks is to eliminate potentially dangerous bacteria. Taste isn't even a bonus. Okay? Going for that is looked at in the same way as pursuing job satisfaction. Okay? You're naive, irresponsible, and you need to grow up. So the first very special person to say a few words about is me. Someone Sylvie's had her whole life to look up to and aspire towards the mixture of grace and unparalleled humility that I bring to the table. For the few of you that I haven't yet met, I'm Susan's nephew, but I'm probably most well known as Barbara and Jeffrey's favourite grandchild. That status is obviously not for me to judge, though as I was saying, it was a great privilege to be the only grandchild asked to speak tonight. I mentioned how surprised I was about this unrivaled vote of confidence to some old friends who happen to know my brother, my sister, and Susan's other children. And they said, Sam, why, oh why, would you be surprised that you were chosen over them? And I don't know. It's probably not about the shortlist of the other inadequate candidates. Instead, it's about how every day you need to look in the mirror. Look beyond all of that good looking that you see coming back at you. And remind yourself, be humble. Just be humble. Sylvie, I hope that you too can one day learn how rewarding this struggle is. To all of the grandchildren that are in the shadows tonight, Daniel's sister normally described you as tonight's losers, which in my opinion was a bit unnecessary. But I say to you, maybe you can do Sylvie's next wedding. Okay? I'm joking. Susan's next wedding. The second important person is Daniel. I don't know him very well. On a first impression, he's clearly a very cool under pressure kind of guy. I met him a bit later. I was expecting to be heckled, to be honest. I met him a bit later than the other members of my family, and I was struck by what great relationship he'd formed with everyone, including the most easygoing and diplomatic member of the family, my aunt. But after spending less than an hour with Daniel, I already knew that he would be a wonderful choice of partner for Sylvie. I've seen one or two posts on Facebook saying he's too good and it's not clear why he's settling for her. But honestly, I don't post on social media that much these days. I'm joking. Their personalities and looks are equally as great as one another, just like every couple here tonight. To focus on one of his most recent achievements, I think we can all agree that Daniel spoke so impressively and charismatically. Without notes, genuinely one of the best wedding speeches I've heard, for sure. Great tempo, appropriate jokes, which I'll try and learn a bit more about after tonight. And it was such a good performance that I'm not sure that we all listened especially carefully to each and every word. Take the story of how Daniel and Sylvie met. After Daniel finished, one of the girls who was on my table said to me, "That's so romantic. What girl wouldn't want that?" And in retrospect, that maybe wasn't a question for me to answer. But my response was probably a lot of women who are en route to the bathroom. I guess the majority probably don't want a guy who spots them leaving the room out of the corner of his eye, jumps up suddenly, sprints after them, and follows them into a poorly lit, narrow corridor leading to the bathroom. And I know that it's not just me that thinks that, because to share what I've been told by all of the girls that I've tried the same move with, when I do it, it's creepy. But consistent with how he managed to take this and make it adorable, I appreciate how Daniel thinks before he speaks. He doesn't say stupid things, or at least he says them so confidently that you don't notice until a few days later. He doesn't take himself, anyone else, or anything too seriously. And I look forward to spending more time with him in the many years ahead. Which brings us on last of all to Sylvie. I'm really sorry. I met her in the 90s. Both our hairstyles were appropriately atrocious. She had huge, very curly hair, and I was sporting a fringe which even then wasn't particularly full. Sylvie and I both have great dads with terrible bald jeans. For those of you that are thinking you might be able to see my scalp right now, it's just the lighting. Okay? Fine hair and thin hair, totally different things. The first impression I remember having of Sylvie was that she was very annoying and way too competitive. She took being the favourite grandchild way too seriously then, and still does. You're almost like 30. Come on, let it go. And things just always somehow became about her. As children, when I would have a slight scratch on my hand in the garden and need some attention, she was also always crying about something, like a minor head injury or a broken bone. When I wanted everyone's attention to be away from me, she was telling someone about the vase or the picture frame that I had broken. When I became good at maths, she became better at maths, allegedly. When I was struggling with French at GCSE, she was doing incredibly well at Modern Hebrew. Really struggled towards another A star, eh? And when she put on a bit of weight during her gap year, that was actually a great period of time. The seminary 15, representative of the 15 kilograms that she put on. Honestly, it's not a big deal, okay? There was actually just much more of your face to appreciate. It was great. You look powerful, okay? Really, okay? Looked good. And as we grew up, certain fictions grew up with us, like the one that gets constantly retold, where I locked Sylvie outside in the garden when it was dark. And it's deemed evidence of like a character defect on my part. So I wanted to set the record straight. One, she was actually back inside the house within like 2 minutes. That's not worthy of being a classic story. And secondly, as Paul reminded us on Sunday night, as a great advocate for Israel, Sylvie supports putting up a security perimeter to stop suspected bad individuals from endangering innocent people. Okay? And that's all I was doing. But all of this is to say that to me, the amazing girl with apparently divine qualities that was spoken about in a wedding will always be my original childhood nemesis. And one that, after many, many years, I have developed a huge amount of respect for, and I'm so, so, so happy for her. So please do raise your glasses to Sylvie and Daniel.